Welcome back, brothers and sisters. We are back hunting the signs in the heavens for the escape of the bride, and I found another very amazing sign with asteroid Eunomia, and I've been tracking this for a long time, and I went back and was looking at the path of this asteroid, and I found some very interesting alignments, and so we want to dig into this. This is going to be the anointing of the bride. So let's look at Eunomia real quick on Wikipedia. And one of the things that I noticed in this Wikipedia, you can pull this up. This is for Eunomia, and you can read through all of this information. It helps to uh, see exactly what we're looking at here with this asteroid. But the most important thing that I saw in this information was this behavior of women in marriage. She was a goddess of law and legislation, and um, this was also associated with marriage. And so to see this alignment in the constellation of Aquarius with Vesta was very interesting to me. As most of you who have been following this channel for a while, you know I have found alignments with Vesta for years and years and years, and this asteroid always seems to be part of the story. And if you go back and you look at the Vestal Virgins, and you go read the story of the Vestal Virgins, and you look at the codes that are associated with Vesta, uh, it screams part of our story. So to see this alignment with these two in the water stream of Aquarius, to me, it screamed anointing. And so what I want to do is I want to dig a little deeper, and we're going to go into some codes, and we're going to look at the path of this asteroid, and then we're going to dig deeper into some of the other signs that are being pointed out to us in the heavens. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to dig into these codes for Eunomia. This is codes for asteroid Eunomia. Equinox. It's time to come home. The Great Awakening. The Bride of Christ. The Virgin Mary, Daughter of Zion. The Bible and the stars. Chosen messenger and timed rapture. So if you've been with me for a while, then you know that this Vesta asteroid has really been key in helping me to understand how these heavenly objects are portraying a story to us more than just the constellations and the sun and the moon and the wandering stars. We have these asteroids and comets that are playing a very, very big role in the story. So let's go to the codes for Vesta and see how this is associated with this constellation and what we're seeing here. So asteroid Vesta codes are God's secret plan, secret window, secret energy key, tribes of Israel, helmet of salvation, war in Israel, God's trumpet, day of atonement, beginning of the end, Jupiter's arc, return to my kingdom, prayers of the faithful, your guardian angels, and Nazareth. And these codes help us to see what each of these asteroids are on a deeper level. Numerically, we can decode most things and see if it applies to our story. Some of them do in a grand way, and some of them they don't have much association, so I don't really pay attention if there's not a lot of association. But in this case, we can see that this is a part of our storyline. So we see that the bride and the virgins are being anointed on 4/27 of 2015. And then what I wanted to do is what we're going to look at here is another sign being shown to us as asteroid Eunomia aligns with Castor in the Gemini constellation. And the first thing that we'll notice on this date of the alignment is we see some very interesting things within this house or this constellation. The first thing that we see next to Eunomia is Mercury, the messenger. So to me, this was a strong message to the bride. And if we look at this constellation from an ancient perspective, Gemini was a bride and a bridegroom. This was a marriage sign. And we see smack dab in the middle of the sign the bridegroom. And we see Venus in Pollux, and we see the moon also in the constellation. So we have the bride and the bridegroom, and we see Christ here as Venus. We see the messenger, and we can see that as Gabriel. And then we also have Eunomia, which is a sign for the bride in Castor, who in the ancient times was the bride or the feminine sign. And then I saw a year later, let's go ahead and get into the day. I believe it's the 2nd. Oh, here we go. It's the 3rd. The 4th at 2 a.m. we see Eunomia aligning with sextants. And again, if you've been with me watching my channel lately, we have been finding all these alignments with the constellation of sextants. Now, a sextant was a navigational tool used to find direction. And so I believe the reason we're seeing these alignments is to point us in the right direction. And we can see here on this day, we see Jupiter in the womb of Virgo. And this is where it gets very, very interesting. This video may take us a while because I don't want to break this up into multiple parts. If I have to, I will, if we get going too long, but I'm going to try to keep this under an hour, and I'm going to try to get as much information as we can, because I've been working on this for years, and it's finally all coming together, and what we're seeing are some amazing signs in the heavens. So, I want to change our focus from Eunomia for a minute over to Jupiter. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus here on the womb of Virgo, and we're going to see something that shows up here with Jupiter and its motion through the womb of Virgo. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go backwards. We're going to look here on 7/1 of 2017. What we see here is Jupiter and the moon aligning in the womb of Virgo, and right between the moon and the king, or the bride and the king, is this star 38 Virginis. And what I noticed with this retrograde motion of Jupiter is, if we go back, we will see, let's scroll out just a little. Let's watch how Jupiter makes a retrograde, and we can see how this retrograde motion is happening right here in the constellation of Virgo. As it turns in the womb, we have this star 38 Virginis showing up. Now, one of the things that led me to this is, I believe it was a, I'm going to have to remember back, it was one of the, I believe it was a debt clock, and it showed this constellation of Virgo, and it showed a line through this constellation, and it essentially highlighted this spot 38 Virginis. And what led me to digging deeper is seeing this retrograde motion of Jupiter, and it begged me to see if this 38 Virginis was involved in any way in this storyline. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go to Wikipedia. This is 38 Virginis. And what I noticed here is 38 Virginis is an F-type main sequence star in the constellation of Virgo. It's 108 light years from Earth. And so I looked up the code for 108 and it pointed out Hades. So I wanted to look into the Strongs, and the Strongs for 38 Greek are sanctification, purification, consecrate, and holiness. And the Strong's 38 Hebrew is my father is a sea, and father of the sea, as in Aquarius. And so, having dug a little deeper, I found something very interesting that I believe is involved in this. The first thing that I want to do before we go to this video that I'm going to show you is we're going to get into the codes of Virginis. So let's go ahead and look at those first. So the code for Virginis is King Charles, Aquarius, Joseph Biden, Ring of Fire, Solar Flare, the Messiah, Queen Mary Magdalene, the Queen Mary, the hour is getting late, and the true bride of Christ. So, you cannot make these things up. This is all bridal language speaking to us on a deeper level. And so it's really interesting to be able to go and see if we can find more, if there are other code breakers out there that can look into this more. This will help us to decipher these codes as we are seeing them. So when I saw Jupiter do its retrograde here at the 38 Virginis, and the debt clock had the path essentially of Jupiter and was pointing out the path of Jupiter, and it sort of pointed to this star. And so digging deeper, I found something in the Ipet Goat video, and so I wanted to point out this so let's go here to I believe it's we're gonna have to start and stop this video until I can find this right here. Okay, so we got it in. This is the first point where the F shows up in this depiction being shown to us in Ipet Goat. and I have been unable to decode this F equals minus F. I've looked everywhere and I have not been able to decode it as F equals minus F, and so I just was looking at the F associated with the rest of the signs being shown to us here. So the first thing I notice, if we play forward, okay, so what we see here is we see the F's show up again, and we see Bush pointing to the dragon. And we see a lightning bolt, and this to me is the Antichrist. And this is the lightning bolt coming into the Antichrist, who will be indwelled with the spirit of the dragon. And let's go ahead and roll forward a little more, because it shows us right after this who this indwelling is pointing to. Okay, so now we can see who this is pointing to, and I want you to pay attention to one of the things that I found in this video that was very interesting. So we're going to run this forward. As you know, many people have broken down that what we see here on, let's this. We can see here on his cheek, we're seeing this beginning of this eclipse, and we can see that this is being pointed out to us in the heavens. Most of this Ipet Goat 2 video is a depiction of stellar or mazzaroth signs, and it has to be decoded in order to be able to decipher what's being shown. So the first thing that we see here is the beginnings of the Ring of Fire eclipse. And oh, well, okay, so we can see here that we have multiple signs showing up. For those of you who have the software and the ability to break this down frame by frame, if you go back just a second before this, it happens between 110 and 111. His tassel on his cap aligns with this 101 that we know is the door. And then immediately after that, it aligns with the dragon. And we see that the F is right here in the picture, and we know that the shark is projecting something into the burning house. And to me, this is a tribulation sign with the door showing up and the dragon being cast down into the earth. And it's indwelling into this Antichrist figure. And so if we go back to Stellarium and we look up 38 Virginis is an F-type main sequence star. And if you look more into the Ipet Goat 2 video, you can see how let's go ahead and go back really fast. I just want to show you that immediately after this scene with Obama, remember his cheek. So now we see this ring of fire, eclipse on the floor, and we have done breakdowns of this imagery, and it is all pointed to the mazzaroth. And in 2017 we had a ring of fire eclipse on the hand of Virgo, and this Lily character, she represents the constellation of Virgo, and the apple in 2017 represented Jupiter, and I believe now this apple represents Esther, because I have found that at this time now, during this ring of fire eclipse, we have Esther in the womb of Virgo. And if we look at the bride stories that are in the scriptures, we know that the book of Esther is one of our greatest tales about the bride and the king. And so when I looked at another one of the Ipet Goat videos, the original, I believe it was the original before they re-uploaded it, because the time stamp changed just slightly. And what I found is on the very first one, at 38 seconds into the Ipet Goat video, we see the F sign. And so it pointed to that 38 Virginis, and we also know that we have a bunch of other wandering stars, asteroids, and comets all pointing to the womb of Virgo right now. So if you read the book of Esther, then you will realize that Esther goes through a 1-year period of sanctification and purification and consecration before her marriage to the king. And Strong's 38 Greek matches that. And so this F-type star seems to be part of this equation, because I have been unable to find any other answers for this F equals minus F. I believe that this is a code that we need to see if we can decipher more. but the only thing that I have gotten out of it is being pointed to this 38 Virginis. And if we look at Lily as the bride, which is Virgo, then it all makes sense, and this debt clock pointing us to this location can be a sign to us that there are other things that we need to hunt in this womb of Virgo for us to be able to get our last signs before the escape. So that's what we're doing now, is we are digging deeper into what we're seeing in the heavens, and this 38 Virginis is essentially pointing us to the birth. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Eunomia, and we're going to look at the path that she continues to take now. Okay, family. What I wanted to point out is this right here. Many of you know that the constellation of Auriga is let's get it right on track here. And we are seeing Eunomia here entering into the constellation of Auriga, and we are looking at 9/1 of 2024. And if we just move forward from here, we can see how Eunomia here on 9/24, our anniversary date of the Revelation 12 sign, and we can see here how Jupiter is right between the horns of Taurus, and the moon is in the hand of Auriga, and this happens essentially at 9 o'clock in the morning on the 24th. And we can even go back a day, and we can see how Eunomia and the moon and Jupiter here essentially align at the end of the day on the 23rd for our anniversary. And this was a great sign to me because, again, Eunomia is the bride of Christ. And so we are looking at Eunomia pointing us to the heavens, and Eunomia ends up coming out of the heart of the constellation on 10/21, and wouldn't you know it, here we see the moon. And also, this is a great sign to me because this is the first day of the Mazzaroth New Year. It starts on the evening of at sunset on the 20th, and so this will be the first day of the new year. And Eunomia is essentially aligned with the constellation of Auriga again, and we see Jupiter right there. And we also see that the moon, the bride, and Eunomia, the bride, are in the silver gate together. And this was a great sign to me to look forward to this time, because we are about to see between now and this sign in the heavens here on the new year, we have literally hundreds and hundreds of signs. I would not be able to get to even a fraction of them, but I have found so many signs in the heavens that are happening right now. I'm going to do my best to get to as many of them. We're going to put them in a priority based on how strong the signs are, but we are seeing a lot of signs in the heavens that are pointing us to the escape of the bride, and it seems to be that the signs are pointing to the month of October. And we don't want to miss any of these signs, so we keep digging deeper for the rest of the language that we see in the heavens. And one of the things that I noticed along with this sign is we have Suchinchan Atlas, who during this time is in the Ophiuchus constellation. And remember, this is the binding of the serpent. We have this comet that is essentially showing us the Revelation 20 sign. Remember that the Antichrist must be cast down first, and he must have his time before he is chained and locked up. But we are getting the signs of this serpent doing his thing, but he will come to his finish with these signs. And so this comet is showing us the end of the serpent's reign, and we can move forward and we can see how at the end of November we have an alignment with this comet and the tail of serpents. And this is directly after the election. And so you can make that what you will. This to me is the sign that our master Yeshua has the serpent by the tail. And let's go ahead and scroll in, and we're going to see where this comet ends up. And it aligns with the heart of the eagle. Let's go ahead and get it directly on there. That's good. So now we see that this C2023 A3 Suchinchan Atlas aligns with Aquila, the eagle, and this is a great, mighty sign in the heavens, because we see that on this same day, I actually believe it's one day before the alignment, you have the sun in the tabernacle, and we have the moon that is in the scales of Libra. And many of you know that the Libra constellation and the Scorpius constellation were actually one constellation in the ancient times. And we see here Comet C2024 G3 Atlas, which is a brand spanking new comet that I have not tracked, but it is showing up in the field for us to witness, and now I can go do the breakdown of that comet. But we see here this sign of the eagle, and we see that the sun is in the tabernacle, and we see that Mercury is in the Hupa. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that Ophiuchus is the Hupa sign, another marriage sign. As the planets and the sun and the moon transition through this section, we can see the leg of Ophiuchus going down into the Golden Gate, and the other leg of Ophiuchus is standing on the Antares star, and that is a depiction of the crushing of the enemy. Scorpio is seen as an antagonist sign. And so we have here another great and mighty sign pointing us to the end of the serpent. And so we're going to dig deeper on this C2024 G3 Atlas in another video, but I wanted to bring this to you. This is another sign for the escape of the bride, and if we run all of these things through, we can see how all these signs point us to a great and marvelous thing happening in the heavens. And then we also have Vesta, again pointing us to what's happening in the heavens here. We can see the moon transition through, and we can see how Vesta is another one of the asteroids that makes its way through the WOMB of Virgo, and we see here on December the 15th of 2024, Vesta is in Spica, and we have another comet showing up, 3D Biela, and we will have to do a tracking on that also. Let's go ahead and run Vesta back and see when she enters the womb and see if there's a sign there. So we have Vesta entering the womb on the 18th of November, and we see that this 3D Biela is also in the constellation at that time. So I believe these two are working together, and I'll have to go dig a little deeper into that sign. For those of you who have stellarium, if you want to go in and see these signs, then they will help me if you can just put anything that you find in the comment section. So as you know, Vesta being part of our Virgin and Bride signs, we also have Metis, and Metis is the wedding. And so now we see Vesta entering the womb, and let's see the course of Metis. It looks like Metis is in harvest position on the 19th. There we go. So we have Metis, which is the wedding, in Spica, or aligned with Spica, which is the essentially the womb star, birthing star, and the harvest star. So if you scroll back, you'll see that Virgo is holding a wheat sheaf, and it is aligned with the star Spica. And Spica has always been seen as a harvest sign, and we can see this as a birth sign. And we're going to go ahead and go pull up. Let me see if I can find this quickly, fam. I have so many codes. It's hard for me to dig them all up, but I'm working on it. I may have to get to that later. I don't have the rest of my asteroid codes right here that I can see. I'm going to have to get to that later. But most of you who have been with me for a while, you know that Metis is highly associated with the signs, and Metis equals the wedding. So we have Vesta and Metis. It looks as if it's the first and the last, the entry and the exit, and this is happening on 11/19, the day before the election here in America. And that, to me, is another great and sign. So we're going to go ahead and cut it here. That way we stay under an hour. And this is a great place for me to end this and come back and dig deeper into the signs that I found in Virgo for the 38 Virginis. There's a lot more there with multiple asteroids pointing out that 38 Virginis sign. So we're going to come back and we'll go into depth into those in the next video. Thanks for coming, family. Again, if there's any of you Mazzaroth watchmen out there who can help point out some of these signs that you found that are associated with this and put them in the comment section, that helps all of the subs to get as much information from as many perspectives as possible. Again, thanks a lot for coming. Much love, and I will see you very soon.